Good morning.
Okay, so over 5 years ago, when I first went to a New Thought church, okay, maybe over 25 years ago, when I went to my first New Thought church, we walked in the door and I was kind of nervous, you know, and the minister stood up there and he said, "Good morning," and the whole congregation replied with an affirmation, which I learned later came from a children's song. But the response is, he said, "Good morning, how are you?" And the response is, "I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic, and filled with the joy of living." So how are you this morning? I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic, and filled with the joy of living. Don't you feel better now? Yeah. That was so meaningful to me. And before I really start my talk, I want to do a little plug about Foundations class, because last week in Montana, we just finished Foundations class. And what was interesting is the people who stood up and shared the demonstrations. We had one person who's had a medical debt that was forgiven. And we had another person who got a new job, and someone else who manifested a car. I just want to encourage you to attend this class because miracles happen every day. And so, you know, I just wanted to share that with you, and I expect to see you there on Tuesday. How's that? So once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a criminal. I know that's hard to believe, but he got caught committing a crime. And so they took him before the king, and the king said, "This is your punishment. You get to choose. You can choose this rope, or you can choose what's behind this big black scary door over here." And the criminal said, "Well, I'll choose the rope." And so as they were putting the noose over his head, he said, "I'm just curious, what's behind that big black scary door over there?" And the king, he said, "I won't tell anybody, obviously." And the king said, "Well, behind that door is freedom. But you would be surprised how many people choose the rope, because the known is better than the unknown. We're afraid of what we don't know." So what I want to ask you is, what are you afraid of? Are your fears legitimate? Would you choose the rope, or would you choose that scary door? That unknown over there. Sometimes we're paralyzed by our fears, and we all have them. We don't talk much about them, but our fears can damage us. They can damage our lives. They can impact what happens to us, and they come from many places. Some of them come from our past history, different things that we have experienced. They're internal, and they're rooted experiences buried deep within us. And some are drilled into us by powerful people. People have power in our life, and they say things to us, and we embody them, or we accept them as the truth. And, you know, this last century has been pretty a fearful time. We've had World War I, we had World War II, we had the Cold War and the threat of being annihilated by atomic bombs. But we also have personal fears. We have fears that we aren't worthy, fears about our worthiness. Have you ever been told you're stupid, or you're not attractive, or you never get anything right? Or perhaps you're a failure, or you're too fat, or you're too skinny, or you're a loser? Any of those things? Have you ever said that to yourself? I don't have any friends. I'll never be able to quit drinking or smoking or whatever it is that you're trying to quit. I will never accomplish anything. So what's the point of even trying? Now let's think about for a minute. That is not the truth of who you are. None of those things are true about you. Now what happens is we watch television, and we're influenced by the media, and they prey upon our fears. The politicians prey upon our fears, both sides, you know. The advertisers prey upon our fears. You have to buy this kind of hand cream so your skin will be soft, and you have to wear this kind of makeup or use this kind of deodorant, or, you know, all those different things that they tell us And that is the reality that we're swimming in. We're swimming in this experience of being told that we're not enough. And just like the fish don't see the ocean, we often aren't aware of those influences on our life. We're not aware that we're taking that in. And it is not the truth of who we are. It's not the truth of who we are. Fear does not get the last word. Fear does not get the last word. We don't want to live there. We want to live in peace and in joy. We don't want to feed our insecurities. We want to know that we can transcend our fear. And how do we do that? Well, when we trust in our Creator, when we walk with the infinite, when we recognize the truth of who we are. Again, I'm plugging foundations class, and you don't know it. We can walk through our fear, and when we walk through our fear, I mean, all of us have times when we experience fear, and when we walk through that fear, we reach people who love us, who support us, who care about us, and most importantly, we understand that we need to love and care and support ourselves, because the other side of fear is love, and with love we have freedom to become whatever we choose to do. We have faith in ourselves, we have faith in the divine, and we know that we are divinely guided. When we trust, when we're fully present, we can live fulfilled lives of joy and peace and happiness. A person who loves themselves, himself or herself, a person who loves himself loves others. A person who respects themselves respects others. As within, so without. And so it ripples out into the universe. It ripples out and touches many other people. We are not different. We are one. One life, one love, one God. You're a love story. Each one of you is a love story. Love begins with you and then it goes forth. Within each one of us is that divine quality. Raman Maharishi says that when the question is, how are we to treat others? Do you know what the answer is? There is no other. We're all one. There is no other. Buddha says, love yourself and watch, or love yourself and meditate. Love is the way that we learn to know ourselves. When we can emanate love. So we want to love our body. We want to nourish it. We want to love our minds. We want to nourish it. We want to love others. We want to love our whole being, every single part of us, every wart, every freckle. We get to love them all because they're part of who we are. So what we want to do is not to live unconsciously. You know, oftentimes we just walk through life kind of, I don't know about you, but walk through life kind of in a daze. And we're living unconsciously, letting life happen to us, not creating the life we choose to have. And so when we understand that love is a universal experience, it's not limited to just a few people, everyone. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever met a rock or a tree that was against you? No? Or a mountain, you know. Have you ever met a mountain that was out to get you? It might seem like it if you're trying to climb them, but actually that's not the truth. So life, think about this, life is an echo. What you put out is what comes back to you. So why don't we stand and radiate love and give love and watch it come back? Love is not something that you have to do. It is not something you get or you give. Love is something that you are. Love is not synonymous with lust. Love is your whole being. Love is the truth of who each and every one of us are. Love equals God, equals truth, equals the absolute. Love knows no boundaries. It is not bound. It is freedom. So Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind on page 365 says, inner presence great and mighty, inner light that shines divinely, inner life that lives completely, inner joy that smiles serenely, inner peace that flows so deeply, inner calm, untroubled, happy, inner love that gives so freely, inner truth that never fails me, inner power that holds securely, inner ear that hears him always, inner voice that speaks supremely, inner good that binds me to thee, holy, 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 Lord God within me. So when we recognize our unity with the one, how can we not know the truth of who we are? How can we not know that we truly are loved? Because we are one with that divine essence. We recognize our oneness. We recognize our unity, not only with God, but with everything that is. There is only us. There's only love. There is no other. We are inspired when we see the presence of the divine within others, within all mankind. And don't mistake affection or attraction for love. Love is something that you are. It's spiritual recognition. True love is self-love. It is the recognition that God is within you and within him and within her and within me. There is nowhere where God is not. You know, it sounds kind of trite, but the truth is there is nowhere that God is not. And sometimes it can be very difficult, can it, to love everybody all the time? Try 5 minutes of just loving everybody for everything and all the time with no judgment, and total non-judgmental 5 minutes. That's a challenge for you because it's not as easy as it might sound. On Science of Mind, page 298, it says, one of the first things to do is to love everybody. If you have not done this, begin to do so at once. There is always more good than bad in people, and seeing the good tends to bring it forth. Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the very reason for our being, and that's why it is that people should have something or someone to love. The life that has not loved has not lived. It is still dead. Love is the sole impulse for creation, and the man who has no love as the greatest incentive of his life has never developed the real creative instinct. No one can swing out into the universe. To him who hath loved much, much is forgiven. So we don't have to judge people. We don't have to determine what's right or wrong. That's not our job. Our job is to love the good that we see within them. We can do a lot of harm by judging someone, by making presumptions about them because of the way they dress or the way they talk or the way they don't talk. And so to move beyond that, to just be able to love the God within each and every one of us. You know, facts change. So what you may think is a fact about this person tomorrow may be totally different. So you need to move beyond your judgment and know that when we are in judgment, we are not in love. Interesting. And there are always opportunities, aren't there, for us to grow? I don't know about you, but there are always opportunities for me to take the higher road, for me to be greater, to grow, to be more loving, to be more honoring. Not to just honor my friends and family, but to honor all the creatures of the earth and to honor Mother Earth itself. There's a divine strength that lives within each and every one of us. We get to tap into that. You live because life lives you. God, life is all there is, and it lives you. And you move because you have this universal energy flowing in, through, and most particularly as you. And you think because there's a divine intelligence thinking through you. They've never been able to find a thought in a brain. There's a divine intelligence that's moving through you. And you exist because divine spirit has sought to individualize itself in you and as you. Robert Browning says that all is love, yet all is law. and that there is an impersonal law as well as a personal relationship to the Spirit. The law exists for all of us, like the law of mathematics, the law of gravity. It just is. But the relationship is personified through each individual at the level of their consciousness, at the level they can bring forth that love. Each one of us gets to determine individually what God means to us. Where is God in your life? Is God the center of your life? Or is, God's not out there. God's deep within each and every one of us. It expresses as us. So what we need to do is come to believe that power and that presence is within us. That we can use it and that we can permit it to guide us. I had to chuckle. I've taught a lot of foundations classes, and it's like, you can't, well, you can, but it doesn't work, to tell God how to do it. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I can affirm what I want, but then let God take care of the particulars, because it may not happen. And I always joke about this. I'm standing at the front door waiting for God to bring it in, and there he is back there knocking, or she is knocking on the back door trying to give it to me, and I'm ignoring it because I've made up my mind that this is how it has to be done, and sometimes we do that. So accept its power and permit its guidance, and feel that you are speaking from this center of divine creativity when we say there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Let's say that. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And so when we embody that, when we embrace that, we get to that place where we can be the love that we're meant to be, we're born to be. On page 299 of Science of Mind, it says, I am one with all peoples, with all things, and with all life. As I listen to the silence, the voice of humanity speaks to me and answers the love that I hold out to it. The great love which I now feel for the world is the love of God, and it is felt by all, and it comes back to me. Talking about that echo thing again. What you speak out there is what comes back to you. Howard Thurman, the civil rights leader, says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is for you to be alive. Living the Science of Mind says, love is the victor in every case. Love breaks down the iron bars of thought, shatters the walls of material belief, severs the chain of bondage which thought has imposed, and sets the captive free. So which would you choose? The rope or what's behind door number 2? It's interesting when we put our faith and our trust in God that we can move forward. I mean, the synchronicity today of the songs that were chosen, I just got here on the plane on Wednesday night. I had no idea what music was going to be here today, but the synchronicity of how the music goes with whatever it is you're talking about, that's a God thing. It really is a God thing. So what we need to remember is you and I are a sacred story. You and I are a love story. And you can include all kinds of people in your story. It doesn't have to be just about you. You can include the entire world. You can include the earth and all of its inhabitants, and the clouds and the stars and whatever God made. You can include that in your love story. You are a glorious love story. You are loved, you are loving, and you are lovable. You are an instance of the divine love. And love always, always transcends fear. So when you have that moment, that fearful moment, go within and listen. Listen to what the divine essence is trying to tell you when you're not trying to do it your own way. So I'd like to ask you now to join me in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Father, Mother, God, that divine and holy essence in which we live and breathe and have our being, that essence that breathes us, that creates us, that divine essence that co-creates with us. God, the good, omnipotent, I know that there is absolutely nothing outside of God, and I am one with it. And if I am one with it, it is true for each and every person here, one with the one with the divine, one with light, one with love, one with peace, one with joy and abundance, one with all that is, because there is only one. So as I speak my word this day, I speak it knowing truly we walk together in love. Our lives are filled and overflowing with that divine essence. That each and every activity in which we participate is an activity of love. That God is interacting and speaking and playing and working and being with God, because there's nothing outside of God. I know that when our fears appear, we move through them easily, effortlessly, joyfully, enthusiastically, knowing that truly we are one with the divine. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the wisdom and the knowledge and the power and the presence of Spirit. I'm grateful for that strength that supports us as we move through our day and through our life. I give great thanks as I release this word to the perfect working of the perfect law, which always, always, and only says yes. Please join me in affirming, and so it is.